Hi friends, Joseph Anthony here, and welcome to this month's New Moon Outlook, this one for February 27th, 2025. And I've called this new moon the new moon of effort and imagination. And as you can tell, this is going to be a new moon in Pisces, and I will go over that. I will talk about what Pisces means, how it's going to affect us. And of course, I will be talking about the United States and how it will affect the United States. As you could tell, no matter where you are in the world right now, the United States is going through a major transformation, politically, socially, economically, the whole nine yards. And myself and many other astrologers, psychics, and remote viewers knew this was coming since 2008. I knew this was going to be a major change to the United States, and we're witnessing it. And there's a lot of astrology to confirm this, to show you the cycles and the trends. Okay, so we are entering this new moon, which is a 2-week cycle. But when we go into March, March is a very important month because we have a lot of activity. And I'm going to touch upon March in this video. We have a lunar eclipse. We have Venus going retrograde. We have Mercury going retrograde. I'll explain what that all means. And so this is a very big month going into April. It all basically starts with this new moon in Pisces. So let's talk about what Pisces is. Okay, as you can see here, it's the two fish. But this is some of the traits that Pisces represents. It is a very spiritual sign. It is a sign that is about the other worlds of consciousness. It's imagination, it's fantasy, it's illusion, it's creativity, it's artistic ability, it's being compassionate and understanding. But one of the biggest traits that Pisces has, it tends to dissolve matters. It's like water evaporating into some sort of steam or fog or ghost. This is the kind of energy Pisces has. And so along with all of that, these are just some of the basics of the positive traits. And every sign has positive and negative traits. As you can see here, imagination, creativity, generous, giving, compassionate, kind, spiritual, all of that stuff absolutely falls under the Pisces umbrella. So this is a 2-week period where we have an opportunity to, create some of this in our lives. But on the negative side, as you can see here, there's careless, oblivious, temperamental. Pisces is very sensitive, and it picks up energy from everybody else and thinks that it's its own, And so it could be very self-pitying, escapism, naive. This is the sign of the martyr, feeling sorry for itself. Nobody loves me. Nobody understands me. And so this is an energy that can be very confusing at times. So if you have Pisces very strong in your chart, like a rising sign or a moon sign or a sun sign or, Mars in Pisces, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, but this is a great sign for showing compassion and helping others and giving and caring, and it brings things out in other people. So this is the theme with this new moon in Pisces. So let's take a look at this. This is going to be, in the afternoon here at 7:45 p.m., and I just chose the East Coast of the United States. There it is at 9 degrees of Pisces. The new moon is at 9 degrees of Pisces. Now, if you look closely, we see a lot of other planets associated with Pisces here, even though they're not conjunctions, which means very tight, but they still have planets in Pisces, like Saturn's in Pisces, Mercury's in Pisces, and this is very important. The North Node is what we're striving for. It's in Pisces, and it's conjunct Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, at 28 degrees. So this is really what's causing this sort of spiritual awakening, a realization. We're beginning to see things or through the veil, but it's also beginning to dissolve things, which is like belief systems, government agencies here in the United States. In your personal life, there may be surreal moments where you're like, what the hell? And the connection to the past. Pisces is a water sign, and all the water signs are deeply connected to the past. We also have Mars that is now moving direct in Cancer, another water sign, which is also about the past. And believe me, this month or the next 2 weeks, the past is very much important because of the retrogrades that are going to occur. And I'm going to cover those in a little bit. So we see that it's a new moon here, and it's making one major alignment to Jupiter right there at 12 degrees. So this is a square. In astrology, a square could bring up tension, challenges. It could also motivate us to do things. Since Jupiter is in Gemini, the sign of the mind, the sign of communication, the sign of self-expression, we see here that this new moon is going to activate this Jupiter. And by the way, Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces. Before we discovered Neptune, Pisces was associated with Jupiter. And so when we have a square like this, the next 2 weeks can be a little bit confusing with the amount of information that comes out, even in our personal lives. Like, why did I do that? Why was this happening? What's really going on in politics? What's going on in the world? Why is there so much confusion? And we may begin to see more of that. I mean, I see it when I go to stores. I look at people and I'm observing them. I pick up on their energy and I notice what's happening to them. You know, just not that I'm trying to, but I could just sense someone having an issue with a family member. Somebody is sick. Somebody's confused. I could just sense all of that stuff. But this is what I do for a living, you know. But I try not to tune in, and I don't want to, you know, interfere in anyone's life. But this is the kind of energy we'll have with this new moon in Pisces squaring Jupiter. Now, on the positive side, you might find yourself communicating more with others, wanting to express yourself. If you're an artist or a singer, you'll want to express yourself more, especially with all this Pisces energy being activated right here. Okay, so keep that in mind. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, a lot more information or unrealistic information or confusion is absolutely positive with this new moon in Pisces. But it's a very spiritual sign. So many people will be turning back to, let's say, religion or their spiritual beliefs or understanding who they really are. This is why I say in almost all my videos, remember who you really are. You know, you are the spirit, the energy, the essence, the vibration in the physical suit having the human experience. That's what's really going on. So this is a understanding of that, or at least trying to understand that from a deeper spiritual level, especially with all this Pisces energy going on here. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, lots of sensitivity, lots of emotion, because we have all these water signs. And lots of change is absolutely in the air in the month of March and April. Now, when we take a look at the United States' chart, and the reason I picked the United States is because, number one, I live here. Number two, because the United States is going through such a tremendous change, which is going to, you know, affect other countries as well. We noticed that new moon is in the third house of communication. So what have I been saying for the longest time now, since Saturn has entered the third house, and Neptune's been here for quite a while? I said all forms of communication, all kinds of things are going to be revealed. Things are going to come out that almost seem unrealistic or confusing at times. And we absolutely see that right now. So the new moon is going to activate more communication, more confusion in the United States. And some of the information that's coming out may seem like it's not real or unrealistic in some way. Okay, so that's absolutely a trend that's going to continue in the next 2 weeks. We also see the new moon making a favorable aspect to Jupiter and also to the sun. So this again involves other people and partnerships in the United States. This is the seventh house of partnerships, relationships, legal matters. That is absolutely a possibility here in the coming weeks with this new moon. Now, it makes one very difficult aspect here, as the new moon also squares Uranus at 8 degrees, almost conjunct. And of course, transiting Jupiter's right there as well. So more surprises coming out, either involving health matters or what took place with the CV-19, more information coming forth that almost seems unrealistic. That is also a trend as well. The problem, friends, that we're going to have, and I already see it, is information is coming out on alternative media sources like X and Telegram and Single and all these other places. And there is so much information that cannot be either confirmed or it's being put out artificially by somebody that, you know, is trying to get your attention, or it's just being created to manipulate people. Okay, so this is what I mean by confusion. And I'm already seeing that because I've posted some things on my social media account that seem unrealistic and crazy, but then when you investigate it, there absolutely seems to be a kernel of truth to it. So we're going to continue to see that trend here with this new moon in Pisces that's going to be activated. Okay, so keep that in mind. But I also want to bring your attention to this planet right here. Venus. Venus is going to be a major player in the next couple of months, and I will get to that as well. But first, let me tell you what I'm talking about here. We know that the FBI director is now Kash Patel, and I posted this on my social media platforms, that it appears, and this came from TikTok, from this Timothy Wilcox, who has a video of 6 hours into his tenure. He basically already started arresting high-level people, like a 4-star general. He caught a couple of other people on planes. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about that I cannot confirm, but I put it out there because I wanted to see if anybody else, could confirm it, or saw any news sources or anything connected to this story. So very important right now to bring this out, to put this out there, and so we could try and collaborate or make a connection. Now, I do know that I said this before, that when Kash gets in there, it's going to be like the new sheriff's in town, and he's going to start acting very quickly. So this doesn't surprise me that he's doing all this stuff. And they have to do it in secret. Now, why do you say in secret? Because could you imagine this plastered all over the mainstream media, how people would just lose their marbles? Okay, especially the opposition. They would be screaming at the top of their lungs, this is dictatorship, this is that. Not only that, they're quietly doing it in order to have the upper hand. So when they start making other arrests, people are not fleeing. They're already trying to flee the United States. Okay, and I'm talking about the low-level, people that worked part of this. This is what he's going after right now. He's not going after the big fish. He's going after the little guppies. So this is something that appears to be real, but if someone could confirm it, that would be wonderful. But I put it out because I want you to think about what's really going on. There's a strategic battle taking place behind the scenes, and I've known about this for years, that this was going to happen. Okay, so this is part of it. We also saw that Dan Bongino was named the deputy director of the FBI. So this is very big because he was a big advocate about what was going on, and basically calling these people out on what they were doing. So Dan is going to play a major role here with some of these changes that are going to take effect. So between Patel and Bongino, it's almost like they're all lining up right now to make some big power moves. And we're going to see it in these next couple of weeks. And like I said, some of it may be like, what the hell's going on? What are we doing? What are they doing? And so it may be a little confusing, but we're talking about like 5D chess here, friends. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, I also posted this, and I got a lot of, blowback on this one. Alex Jones has been known to be a very controversial person, but his information has been accurate. About 80%, 85% has been on the money. Okay, and here he has a video on X. You could go to the realalexjones.com on X, and he has an interview here, and he puts it up here where the president of Venezuela, Maduro, talks about how he is going to help the United States and basically talk about what they're doing there with these gang members, and the U.S. was behind all of it. Do you see what I'm talking about, friends? So this was absolutely confirmed through his video because he's actually showing Maduro talking about this. And not to mention that AJ has inside sources. I'm not saying he's like 100% credible, but I'm just saying you've got to take all the information, take everything in. Don't believe any of it, but at least connect the dots to what you see is possibly happening here. Okay, that's what I'm getting at, friends. Okay, so again, check him out if you want to listen to the whole interview. He has a whole 3-hour interview. He talks about it in the first 30 minutes or so. Anyway, let's go on to the astrology here. And now we see Venus going retrograde on March the 1st through April the 12th. Now, this is going to be very important. If you understand what Venus represents in astrology, Venus is about partnerships, relationships, values, belief systems, but it also represents the financial system as a whole. Okay, and Venus is in Aries right now, which is the self. It doesn't work very well in Aries. It's kind of weakened in Aries. But now it goes retrograde. So retrograde just means going backwards or within. And so now over the course of these next 6 weeks or so, Venus is going to be acting a little differently, a little more erratic. We're going to be going down nostalgia lane. We're going to be thinking about all the relationships from the past. People from the past will start showing up. And of course, things related to money and values are going to be on the table. And so wherever this Venus retrograde is in your chart, it will, amplify that energy and start bringing it back into your life. And so on a larger scale, this will absolutely be about the financial system. We are going to continue to hear news about the financial system and who did this and who did that. And that's the kind of nonsense that I'm seeing coming into the picture in March. But that's not the only thing, because there's so much energy coming in March that's very disruptive. This is the beauty of astrology. When you understand that there is disruptive energy or heavy energy, you deal with it. You understand the trends that are happening. You don't take it personally like, oh my God, my world's falling apart. No, you go, okay, I got to deal with this. This is going to be a couple of weeks of this heavy energy going backwards that I got to contend with. So this is the beauty of astrology. So let's look at the Venus retrograde. Here it is. It's going to start off at 10 degrees of Aries. So wherever that is in your birth chart, you want to keep an eye on that. And Venus is going to keep backtracking until it gets back into Pisces. That'll be at the end of the month of March. And it'll be conjuncting Neptune and the North Node, which many astrologers are saying this could be a time where things really begin to dissolve, especially partnerships, relationships, or financial matters, market corrections, all kinds of power moves being made in the markets. And so there is that trend where things begin to slowly kind of erode or change in some regard. So keep an eye on this. This is all throughout the month of March, because Venus will be in a weakened position. In other words, it's slowing down to go backwards. And so we're going to see that trend. And so this is going to be very important, especially in the United States, because look at Venus right here. It's in stationary position before it goes backwards, and it's already squaring the Sun and squaring Jupiter, and it will be doing that again. So it's going to be moving backwards this way. And so we are going to see something from the past resurface in the United States. It's going to be very important. And again, I think it has to do with possibly with all of the indictments that are going to come down, or the financial system is going to take a major shakeup in some way. It could have something to do with the gold, because Mr. T and whatchamacallit has been talking about it. But this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, friends. Okay, and I posted this in my Inner Circle community. We talked about it last week. This is another reason why you should consider joining my Inner Circle. Not only is there a 7-day free trial, but I do share more information there first, and much deeper, and people could ask me questions there, one-on-one. So every Sunday we have a Zoom call, but there's so much more in the community. Anyway, I've left the link down below if you're interested. So here we have JP Morgan. This was another post on social media. Jamie Dimon, who's been a criminal his whole life, just dumped this much money, worth of JP Morgan shares. Now, why would they be doing this? Have you noticed systematically that these billionaires and these money managers are all dumping assets? They're dumping shares. They're dumping, things that they own, and they're holding on to cash, or they're buying farmland, or they're buying other things other than, what's in the market. They know something's coming because they're part of this reset process that's taking place, and it is a financial reset that's going to take place. We just don't know how exactly it's going to play itself out. Will it be a new currency backed by precious metals? Will it be a cryptocurrency backed by precious metals? Will it be a phony system, like we have now, a fiat currency that's all digital? So this is the kind of stuff that, has me scratching my head going, oh, look at this. They got something that they know that's coming down the line. So this is very possible in March and April. If not that time frame, then again, because of the astrology, June, July, and August seems to be another tricky time for financial matters. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, just put it out there. And of course, the Doge team and Fort Knox, they've been hinting about this. And so there could be some major announcements around this in the United States with regards to gold and not having any gold there, or maybe they rig some sort of image or video that shows there's a bunch of gold there to keep the dollar propped up. I don't know. This is where it gets tricky, friends, because a lot of the stuff that we are finding out is being manufactured or created by CGI, or, people are just playing their role and trying to get an outcome. So this is the downside to where we are right now in society because of technology, is that, we're being spoon-fed information that sometimes is misleading or confusing at times. So keep that in mind as well. All right, but this could be a real strong possibility under the Venus retrograde these next 6 weeks about money matters, more information coming out of how money is being laundered out of the country. And that's what these agencies have been doing. So if you understand what, and I've said this before, government is nothing but organized crime for the oligarchy that runs the world. And I know who they are. I pointed this out many times in my private community. Many of you have done your own homework and you know who they are. These two are players, yes, but they are not the ones pulling the strings. So keep that in mind. Now, let's continue. March the 3rd, we have Mercury going into Aries. Now, this is just putting fuel on the fire because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Mercury in Aries is like quick-witted, sharp, getting to things really fast, speaking your mind, conflict, being more aggressive. Now, this is the kind of energy we have coming in from March the 3rd, okay? But, there's a big but here, Mercury is going to go retrograde as well. So not only we have Venus going retrograde, we have Mercury going retrograde. You want to talk about confusion? You want to talk about things going backwards? As you can see here, Mercury is going to stay in Aries all the way until May the 10th, which means after it comes out of retrograde, it'll move forward again. So it's going to stay in the sign for an unusually long period of time. So we have another indicator here of stuff that could be a little confusing this month. Not only do we have the new moon in Pisces, which could add confusion, spirituality, mysticism, creativity, but now we have these two planets going retrograde. Do you see what I'm talking about when I say it can be a really tricky month? With lots of uncertainty in the mix. Again, don't take it personally because everyone's going through this. All right. So let's take a look at the Mercury retrograde here. Here it is, 0 degrees. It enters Mercury right there, 0 degrees of Aries. As you can see, it will be closely aligned to Venus most of the month. Matter of fact, it'll be together for a while because Mercury is very quick. It'll catch up to Venus because Venus is in retrograde. So over the course of the next week or so, Venus will, and Mercury will be conjunct, which means communication, which means expression, which means things from the past, which means, wanting to speak your mind. And as we see here, also the sun will keep moving forward, making a conjunction to Saturn and then eventually the North Node. And that'll happen towards the middle of the month, towards the end of March. So we have a very tricky month coming in terms of March. And it's really the entire month. The entire month, not just the bits and pieces of it. The entire month of March is off the charts that we have to keep an eye on. So this Mercury retrograde is just, like I said, putting a little fuel on the fire. In the United States' chart, we're seeing it right there. Here's the 4th house, which represents the foundation, the home, the House, the Congress, the Senate. And so Mercury is going to enter that area. And we're going to see a lot of fireworks probably in the United States' House and Senate as they try and pass some bills and who wants this, who wants that, and people shouting and screaming. That's very indicative of Mercury in Aries. Okay, it's a conflicting energy. It wants battle. It wants, wants to achieve. It wants quick results. All of that stuff falls under that umbrella. And so this is going to be monumental here. And both of them are going to retrograde in this 4th house. So the past is going to absolutely come back up in the United States, whether it's indictments and prosecutions or stories from the past. That's all going to resurface when it goes retrograde. Now, let's talk about this giant elephant in the room in March. On March the 14th, there is a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Now, this is going to be very important because not only do we have Venus starting off the month in retrograde, we have Mercury entering Aries, and then on the 14th, we have this monumental full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. Now, Virgo is a sign of health. It's the sign of daily routine. It's the repetitive things. It's the small details in our lives. It's the striving for perfection. It's the sign that represents physical well-being. Taking care of your health, eating habits, anything to do with medicine falls under the umbrella of Virgo. So the theme is, because it's a lunar eclipse, as a matter of fact, it's a total lunar eclipse, which means that the sunlight will be completely blocked off from the moon, which means an ending, a completion. a realization. This is what full moons, especially lunar eclipses, do. And it's in Virgo. So something about our daily habits, something about things that we thought were good for us are going to begin to change in a big way. Now here is what a lunar eclipse looks like. It's when the Earth is literally blocking out the sun from the moon. And so symbolically in astrology, the moon represents the subconscious. It represents the past. It represents our emotion, our foundation. And when we have no sunlight going to this part of the moon, it's like we're cutting off the flow of energy. Think in terms of energy. The sun is the energy, the force in this world that brings us, life, and we're able to grow things, and it makes us feel better. So anytime it blocks off a part of these planets, we are going to see major changes. Just like in a solar eclipse, when the moon blocks off the light, it's a reset process. Okay, that's how it works in astrology. So we're going to see that, taking place as well. So here we have the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. And so here it is at 23 degrees of Virgo, and it's opposing the sun and Saturn at 22 degrees. So it's almost a conjunction. So there is absolutely some sort of information regarding governments, controlling bodies, maybe leaders, political leaders in the mix during this time. In our personal lives, it may feel this heavy restriction, obligation, like I feel so stressed and like I can't move. I don't know what to do because of Saturn's energy in the mix. Okay, so this is a very strong, deep psychological energy that's coming in. And Virgo is very much associated with the nervous system. Anxiety, stress, all falls under the umbrella of Virgo. So we have to pay attention to this energy because it can be very confusing, conflicting, okay? Especially having to do with either relationships or communication, because the ruler of Virgo is Mercury right there. And as you can see here, there's a little S there beginning its stationary position, because the following day, Mercury is going to go retrograde. And we already have Venus in retrograde. So you want to talk about confusion? This energy is very confusing. It's very heavy. Okay? So what is it that you need to let go of? What's not working for you anymore? Is it a job? Is it a health habit? Is it your eating habits? Is it an exercise program? Is there someone in your life that's not doing well that may be checking out? That's the kind of energy I'm talking about. Now, it is making another aspect to Uranus right there, 24 degrees. This is a favorable alignment. This is called a trine, and this is called a sextile. But because we're talking about Uranus, Uranus is the wild card. This symbol or this planet represents, sudden change, sudden revelations, major disruption. It's like lightning striking, and it's in the sign of Taurus, which has to do with money. It has to do with values. So even though this is a powerful total eclipse, we also have Uranus in the mix here. So there could be some surprises around this time that we have to keep an eye on with our value system, with our finances, with things that we own. There could be a reevaluation. There could be some changes in the mix. And by the way, eclipses don't just happen on that day. Eclipses can take up to 6 months to manifest. It's like a slow evolution that's taking place. So over the course of the next 6 months, I would say that there's a major change in these areas: financial matters, our value systems, our health systems, our thinking, our communication, how we communicate with each other, how we see ourselves. So there's major disruption coming in from the past, possibly because of Mercury and Venus here in these I don't want to say, they're kind of weak in positions, and because Mercury's at a standstill, so it can be a confusing time. But Venus is in retrograde. But what is very interesting here, when we look at the United States' chart, look at Venus retrograde, 7 degrees, making an alignment to the North Node at 7 degrees. This is a positive alignment. So this is indicating something new is coming into the picture here. In the financial realm, the powers that be behind the scenes, something is evolving, in my opinion here, what I'm seeing here. Again, I've been saying this, and the evidence is overwhelming, that they're trying to create a new currency in the United States. So we just haven't had, a major announcement, because it would crash markets and people would just run to the banks and grab their money. So this is a very important lunar eclipse There may be announcements, or something about the markets. Maybe the markets take a nosedive. But then we see Mercury in retrograde here as well, right there. That's going to happen the following day. So we're seeing very confusing energy, and these are both squaring, as you can see here, Jupiter and the Sun and even Venus. And both of these will go back and will square Venus exactly. So there is absolutely something from the past in the United States' chart that's going to be very important and very relevant that comes up with either partnerships, financial matters, homeland, real estate issues. This is all under this umbrella right now. But when we look at this closer, at this lunar eclipse, look at this. It's squaring exactly to Mars in the sign of Gemini in the 7th house. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing conflict with other people. We're seeing a frustration, an irritation, something that has to be resolved with other people. And so there is possibly a conflict that's occurring this month that we have to resolve or, take care of with other nations, other leaders, political leaders, whatever. So we're seeing all of this energy basically coming up to the forefront here that can be newsworthy or, something that comes out. So this is what's really big here in the United States' chart. Of course, on the 15th, Mercury goes retrograde officially. And so it's going to go backwards. It's going to, have us reevaluating things in our personal lives and, what is it that we want? Where are we going? What's important to us? And here is the chart for Mercury retrograde right there, as you can see here. And so now these two are together and they will continue to move backwards. So again, reevaluating the past, people from the past, situations from the past, conversations from the past. And as you notice now, the sun is in the zone right here. Look at this. It's in a four-way conjunction, really showing us something major is going to take place with the governments or something spiritual in nature. Something may be dissolving or ending that we need to take care of. So this is all in the mix that is coming forth. This is a really important time right around the middle of this month. And so as you can see here, the new moon sets the wheels in motion for all this change that's occurring. Anyway, if you want to know more, if you want to learn more on Sundays, please consider joining my inner circle. I teach astrology there. We do the extended horoscopes there. I do the weekly astrology there. And of course, people send me their charts and I go over them and we talk about what's going on. And of course, I share a lot more information there because I could talk a lot more freely. Anyway, there you have it. Have a great month or next couple of weeks. Set the wheels in motion for some form of positive change. And I will talk to you folks soon. Bye for now.